I never do single book reviews, but honestly, I didn't had any idea for a video today. And then I read a new favorite book and I just need to talk about it. And if you're not new to my channel, you know that I don't have a lot of favorite books, so it's a pretty big deal for me. But I'm so excited to talk about my new favorite book. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane and today I'm doing The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw review. I'm just so happy from this book. Like, not really, it broke my heart, but I'm so happy that I read this book. I feel like I read it in the perfect timing, in the perfect season, in the perfect everything. I just finished reading it yesterday and honestly I didn't felt this way from a book since I read Horrid by Katrina Leno. This book just was so amazing, like you can understand. It's a new fave. But before I will tell you why I love this book so much, I will tell you a little bit about the story. Basically, this story following the town of Sparrow. This is a town on the east of Oregon and it's basically a really gloomy town. And this town was cursed 200 years ago when three sisters came into town and the town people suspect them to be witches. So one day they executed them and drowned them in the deep waters. And since then, every year in the month that the sisters died, the spirits of the sister are possessing girls and those girls kills boys. So basically every year at least 3 boys are going to die in this month. And basically we are following a teenager named Penny, and Penny lives with her mother and she's alone. She doesn't really trust people, mostly because she's afraid to lose them because her father disappeared 3 years ago. But then a new boy comes into town in this cursed season and basically Penny tries to protect him. The whole book was so atmospheric and so magical. The writing was amazing. The writing of Shea Ernshaw was really incredible. Like those kind of writings that just get you. The story was so tragic and so emotional, so sad. I cried so much from this book. But the main thing is that a book didn't make me feel this way for so long, and I actually felt in the story. Like while I was reading this book, not only that I say to myself, oh my god, it's 5 stars, oh my god, I also say to myself, this is how reading a good book is supposed to feel. It was just so amazing and I just can't get over this book and how magical it was and how everything was so precise in the descriptions. I felt like everything was in place. But basically this is a love story. This is a dark fantasy love story. Now you may ask yourself, what is a dark fantasy? And according to Wikipedia, dark fantasy is a subgenre of fantasy that incorporates disturbing and frightening themes of fantasy. It often combines fantasy with elements of horror or has a gloomy dark tone or a sense of horror and dread. So basically dark fantasy is a combination of fantasy and horror, and I got into fantasy this year and I'm finding out that my favorite subgenre of horror is the atmospheric horror. I don't need to be scared, I just need this feeling of creepiness and of spookiness and this feeling of horror around you. And I really love books about death, about those big questions of life, and I feel like this book was just the perfect combination of all the things that I love. The reason that I picked this book is because I found out about dark fantasy, which sounds like a perfect genre for me, and it just passed any expectation that I had. So yes, basically it's a dark fantasy. It's a fantasy and a horror. It's more of an urban fantasy because it takes place in a town, but this town is cursed, and the whole atmosphere and the vibe of the book just was so vivid. The writing made you really feel the vibe around you and really feel the gloomy of the town. The writing was just so beautiful, and I definitely will be checking a lot more dark fantasy books because it was just so good. Now it isn't scary, again it's just the creepiness and the vibe of the book, especially because it talks a lot about the curse and about those sisters killing other boys and about those questions of if it's okay to kill or if it was okay to kill them 200 years ago. Just the whole book talk about this big curse that is taking over this town, and the writing, just everything was so beautiful. So many amazing quotes, and I feel like I can't do this book justice because it was just so incredible, and I don't have the words to describe how this book was incredible. It was just so good. I just feel like it was the perfect book for me. And if you love fantasy or horror or those more gloomy books, especially atmospheric books, because it was so atmospheric and so aesthetically pleasing, everything was so well made together. It just felt like I'm feeling what the main character feeling in all of my senses. I really couldn't put the book down. I was so in this world, like I just couldn't get out of this world. Of course I went really late to sleep. I'm still trying to process the book, but I just have to talk about it. Another really cool thing about the book is that it was a lot around water and around force in the water because the sisters were drowned around, and I feel like this whole magical water just felt so good with the story. I'm still so surprised from this book. If you would ask me which book is going to be my next 5-star read, I wouldn't guess this book never. But the writing just touched me. Again, I didn't felt this way to a book for so long. I just really want to hype this book up, and I didn't saw a lot of people talk about this book. I actually saw some reviews about Shea Ernshaw other book, Winterwood, and of course I'm going to read it, but nobody talks about The Wicked Deep, and I really want to hype this up. This is such a beautiful story, and again, this is a romance story, so there is a lot of romance. And if you know me, I usually for plot and character and romance, if I think the plot was really good, and I was sure that I'm going to guess the end, and the end surprised me so much. This is just a romance story, and how love can affect your choices and what you're doing, and how love is so big and impactful, and how love can just change you. It's just a beautiful book, and such heartbreaking book. It was just so many things in once. It was so smart. Everything just was so smart and had a purpose. And again, the quotes, like every sentence that I read in this book just made my heart feel so much. Again, I can't do justice to how good this book was. But this is just a new favorite. I will definitely check more of Shea Ernshaw stuff. I can keep talking about it forever. It was just so amazing. I just wanted to share with you a little bit that I have a new favorite, which again is a big deal. Like, this is my 4th 5-star of the year, which is pretty sad, but I'm trying to understand more which books I love, and I think that dark fantasy will be one of my favorite genres from now on. So if you have any dark fantasy recommendations, please tell me. I just want more of this amazing atmospheric aesthetic fantasy reads. It was just so amazing. And yes, I just was in another world yesterday. I was in the town of Sparrow, in this coast around the 3 sisters. And yes, if you love horror, you love gloomy stuff, if you love fantasy, especially fantasy about courses and things that are a little bit more mysterious, I will really recommend this book. Again, the love story takes a big part of the story, but it just makes it even more amazing. And yes, I really hope that if you will read this book, you would feel the same way that I felt, because it was just amazing. And I really want for everyone to feel this way when they are reading a book. I just wish that all of my reads would be like this. Such an amazing book, and again, I didn't hear almost anybody talk about it. I found it in some recommendations video after I looked more than 10 recommendations when I was looking for dark fantasy recommendations, and it was just so good. And yes, please read it. It's amazing. So yes, it was my first time ever doing a single book review, and I don't know if I will keep doing them or not. But it was really fun. I just wanted to talk about my new favorite book and try to convince you to read it, especially because we are now getting to fall, the spooky season. So I feel like if you're looking for some spooky books, especially if you don't want something scary but just the atmosphere of the spookiness, I feel like this book will be just really amazing. And yes, I just love this book so much. I still can't get over how good this book was. I really hope you enjoyed this The Wicked Deep review. Until my next video, you can check more videos by me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!